Ask you about voting. Ohio's top election official, Secretary of State Jennifer Brunner, announced on Friday the voting systems that decided the 2004 election in Ohio were rife with, quote, critical security failures. You and Bob Fitrakis have reported extensively on the 2004 presidential vote in Ohio. Your most recent book, What Happened in Ohio, Documentary Record of Theft and Fraud in the 2004 Election. Your response to the report, what did you think was most important in her findings?
Well, our initial response was yippee. I mean, they finally, after all these years of us banging our, we're local boys, we live in Ohio, Columbus, and we saw the election of 2004 stolen right in front of our faces. And we reported extensively, and everybody laughed at us. And they said, oh, this couldn't happen in America. And we documented in how the GOP stole America's 2004 election and is rigging 2008. We documented scores of ways that this election was stolen. And we pointed out myriad flaws that we saw right in our own neighborhoods of what was done to keep people of color and young people from voting and to rig the vote count. I mean, the servers for the computation of the Ohio vote count were in the same basement in Chattanooga, Tennessee, that housed the servers for the Republican National Committee. The programmers who did the stuff for Ken Blackwell, the Republican Secretary of State, were Republicans who did the websites for the Bush administration. I mean, it's amazing. So here we finally have a Democratic Secretary of State who spent $1.9 million of state money, hired Battelle, which is not exactly a progressive organization, to study it, and found that every single method of voting, pretty much, except for marking paper ballots, was corrupted in the 2004 election.
Coming up with opposite results?
Well, basically what she says was you could have manipulated the 2004 election results with a BlackBerry. The Conyers report basically said all you had to do was drive by with a Wi-Fi. And she comes up and says the very simple ways the 2004 election could have been flipped just like that. And that's what we said since 2004. Look, this election could have, we are guaranteed certain that John Kerry won Ohio in 2004. The election, the exit polls showed him winning, there was a flip of 6.7% in the exit polls from the official vote count. And, in my favorite, in Youngstown and in Franklin County, in Columbus, in the inner city, people went in and they hit touchscreen machines and they pushed Kerry and Bush lit up. How do you invent that? How do you make that up? We had votes that were taken away in a county in southeastern Ohio. They proclaimed a Homeland Security alert. Nobody knows where this came from. The FBI, the Homeland Security Agency, they never called a Homeland Security alert.
You mean they locked down?
They locked down. They kept out the media. Suddenly the ballots disappeared. And most importantly, and this Jennifer Brunner did not discuss, I am party to a lawsuit. We filed a civil rights lawsuit. We won. The federal election law says the ballots had to be protected. Under federal law, we got a overlapping decision from a federal judge to preserve for our civil rights suit the preservation of these ballots. 56 of 88 counties in Ohio destroyed their election ballots. They destroyed all their election records, or most of them, making a pure recount impossible. This is in direct violation of a federal court injunction and standing federal law. So far, nobody has been prosecuted. What kind of country are we living in? Now the Secretary of State comes out with a $1.9 million report and says that all the electronic methods of counting the votes that were used in Ohio in 2004 were easily, that was her word, flipped. Anybody who with a simple electronic machine could have gone in there and turned the election. And we know it was done because the Republican Secretary of State was also co-chair of the Bush-Cheney campaign. How do you top that?
Ken Blackwell.
Yeah, Ken Blackwell.
And what's
gone.
He doing now?
Well, he's out running a multi-million-dollar media operation, which is about to benefit from the FCC here. But the
vote of Kevin Martin tomorrow.
Yeah, which you're going to talk about in a minute. But the fact is that he's not hurting exactly, but he was defeated.
What company is he running?
I'm not sure what company Ken Blackwell is with now. It could be Blackwater. But at any rate, everything we said has been confirmed. You know, it's a sorry
What does
statement.
this mean for the 2008 elections?
It means that Jennifer Brunner and also Deborah Bowen, you know, in California, has come to similar conclusions and disqualified the electronic voting machines used there. These secretaries of state, if we're going to have an actual election in 2008 that's going to be even reasonably fair, they're going to have a lot of work to do. They have to throw out all the electronic voting machines that were bought with federal money under the Help America Vote Act. You know, after the 2000 debacle, Congress comes in and they say, we're going to solve this problem. So Bob Ney, congressman from Ohio, now in federal prison, says, okay, everybody has to buy touchscreen voting machines. You know, and he gets the money from the touchscreen voting machine companies, winds up in jail, and meanwhile, Ohio spent $100 million, taxpayer money, buying these voting machines, and now Jennifer Brunner...
From which company?
Well, from Diebold, from ES&S.
Diebold, an Ohio company.
Diebold's renamed themselves, but Hart InterCivic, all these guys who worked with Jack Abramoff, also in prison, and $100 million of our hard-earned tax money went to buy these machines, and now the Secretary of State says, hey, these can't work. They can be flipped like that. And we knew this, and we reported this.
Are you saying our elections are being run from the prisons?
Well, they should. The guys who've been running the elections should be in prison, let's put it that way. But we know, I will guarantee you right here, after all the, you know, I grew up in Columbus, and we saw this election stolen in 2004. And, you know, whether John Kerry should have been president, or, well, he won. And Al Gore won in 2000. I mean, where were these guys to stand up for what we was, you know, we were viewed as fringe guys. We never got the slightest bit of help from the Democratic Party. They were apparently too embarrassed to point out.
They're not talking about these issues now.
No, they're not at all. And we, you know, Jennifer Brunner, we have to give her a lot of credit. The biggest opposition we got to pointing out that the 2004 election was stolen has come from the Democrats. Because who knows? I can't even begin to psychoanalyze them. But the 2004 election was stolen. There is absolutely no doubt about it. A 6.7% shift in exit polls does not happen by chance. And, you know, so finally we have irrefutable confirmation that what we were saying was true, and that every piece of the puzzle in the Ohio 2004 election was flawed.
Harvey Wasserman, I want to thank you very much for joining us. Author of a number of books, as well as senior editor of the Ohio-based freepress.org and editor of nukefree.org. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. When we come back, we go to major events happening in Bolivia, then a debate on Venezuela, and we'll look at the vote on media consolidation that will take place tomorrow at the FCC. Stay with us.